So today we got a question from a bro who wants to know, yo, Elliot, I'm in my 40s and I feel like I've lost my edge. I used to be ambitious, driven, and full of energy, but now I'm just going through the motions. How do I get that fire back, man, and feel like I'm on a mission again? Great question, bro. So, very first thing I gotta say is that there are a lot of different ways that we could approach this question. And being a health coach means that I'm thinking low testosterone, poor nutrition, not sleeping enough, you need to exercise, you need to get some fresh air and sunshine, and all those things are valid. But a lot of times, trying to address those things just add more activities, more stress, more things to do, more things to worry about. And when in fact, a lot of times when you're feeling lackluster, you're not having the energy and the ambition that you once had, the drive that you once had, it's because there's a good chance that you're doing too much, right? This is not always the case, and I don't exactly know you, but a lot of times we get overwhelmed with activities. And if you're in your 40s, you might have a family, you might have a career, you might be running a business, and there's just a lot of stuff being piled on you. And when we worry about not having the energy and the drive, we're not realizing, like, when you were in your 20s, you didn't have all that weighing on your back. You weren't carrying that heavy load. Now, not only are you older, but you've got much more to carry. Plus, now worrying about the fact that you're not living up to the vitality and youthfulness and energy and ambition that you once had. So that's like another load on top as well. So where do you go from here? Where do you go from here? You got more physiological load, you got more emotional, physical, and life load, and now you got the emotional load of, man, I suck. And then you come to me, and a lot of times when you go to a coach or you go to an advisor, they give you more things. Here's another thing to do. Here's another way to think. Here's more practices you need to do in the morning. Add this to your ritual. Do these exercises. And guess what? I'd just be adding another load to your back. And then it's just a perpetual cycle downhill to ultimately never really getting what we want. And what we really want is that sense of freedom, that sense of joy from life. And unless we take a step back, and in fact, you're being asked to take a step back, right? Like, things happen in seasons, and God knows what's best for you, and your body and your intuition is right on point. But if the ego doesn't recognize it as a sign from above, your higher self, God, then you're not gonna take the right actions, which ultimately means you're not reducing the load, taking the stress off. Sometimes low ambition is a good thing. Sometimes low energy is a good thing. Sometimes introversion, going in, going deep, slowing down, cooling off is a good thing. And you know this is true because you just look at the seasons, right? Imagine it was hot all the time. Imagine the sun was always up all the time, right? Imagine it's just like scorching hot and the sun never goes down. Like, the earth would be scorched. We would fry up, we would die. We couldn't handle that amount of stress. But based on the daily rhythm and the annual rhythm, there are seasons of darkness and there are deep seasons of coldness. And I think the same thing happens in our lives, only that maybe they don't follow such predictable patterns, although I kind of think they do. We're just not tapped into them. But we can feel them, we can sense them. Just like, like, nobody has to tell you that it's December. When you walk outside, you feel, damn, it's cold. Woo, must be winter time. Low ambition, low energy is kind of like God telling you, hey, winter time, it's okay. It's all right. Cool off, slow down. But that's not sexy, that's not exciting, that's not, go and get them. And that it doesn't please the ego. Unfortunately, we live so much on the periphery, right? Like, we live so much on the periphery, the front, or the top, that we miss the fact that real growth happens beneath. down below in the root system, if you will, right? Like if you want this tree to grow healthily, or if you want it, for example, bamboo. Have you ever heard how bamboo grows? My dad loves bamboo. Bamboo's great. Bamboo is known to grow really rapidly in the beginning, in the root system. So if you plant some bamboo, it'll stay short for a while, or different strains of bamboo. It'll stay short for a while, and you might be wondering, oh, that bamboo ain't growing. Well, what's happening is down below, the root system is spreading out, and bamboo grows this way, it spreads out. So the root system is growing down below, but you don't see that with the naked eye. So you think, oh, that lazy ass bamboo, that non-ambitious bamboo, that bamboo needs more energy. I need to do something to get that bamboo to grow faster. Not realizing like, underneath, inside, down below, the root system is growing, but you don't see it. And apparently, as the bamboo allows its innards, its subconscious, right? Like our body is kind of like our subconscious. And I can go down that rabbit hole maybe another time, but like our body is like a root system. If you look at the brain, it looks like a flowering, and then you have the taproot, which is the spinal cord, and then so there's a lot going on in here. There's a lot going on down here. There's a lot happening in the soil, the root of your body, the root of your existence, and a lot of it is unconscious. Just like the root system that's growing for the bamboo is unconscious, it's unseen. But then something happens. All of a sudden, the bamboo shoots up at the right time when the root system has grown to its greatest capacity. And that may be what God, your physiology, nature, it all works together. It's all one thing anyway. It's asking you to do. It's asking you to slow down and allow the root system, allow your subconscious, allow your soul to be nourished for a while. And don't be so focused on expansion on the outside. And I tell you this from a man who's got tremendous experience in this area. I have a big ego. I'm a pusher, I'm a willer, I'm a goer, I'm a grinder. I love that shit. And I've had to learn through injuries and through depression and through bad times in life that, I gotta slow down. And I got to allow God to take over. God allow nature to take its course. And I'm telling you this from experience. And here's the thing. If you try to push the river, if you try to get that bamboo to grow faster by tugging on it, right? Like, I can't sit still and watch this thing not do something, right? Because if you're anything like me, you want to go make it happen, right? So there are times when like God is saying, sit your ass down, nigga. And by busting my biceps, tearing my Achilles tendon, giving me all kinds of problems. And I'm like, limping. I'm like, I gotta keep going. You're gonna screw it all up. You're gonna make it worse. You're gonna get in the way, and you're never actually gonna get what it is that you want. I found that by doing nothing, everything starts to unfold. And it's the hardest thing. Working is easy for me. Grinding is easy for me. Being ambitious is very pleasing to me. The hardest thing is saying, I let go of the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel. That's it. There's nothing else I can do. There's nothing else I could possibly do. There's nothing else you could possibly do, right? Like you're carrying the load. You're doing what you need to do every day, but like, you're thinking that you need to push more, when what I'm saying to you is let go and allow. And what happens, man, is the craziest thing when we let go and allow, right? And it's just so hard for me because even when I let go and allow and then ideas come to me, I try to jump on them right away. And because I'm ambitious, but I just hurt myself. So I step back and allow the ideas, allow the things that you want to unfold, the imagination, the dreams, the goals to come, but don't jump on them right away either. Because a lot of them, they come from without. A lot of them come from FOMO, watching other people, hearing other people's, just reading too much, consuming too much. When I say sit and chill, I mean like do nothing. And by, the eyes start opening up. By and by, here's what we kind of are like running from. I know what I was running from. It was fear. And if you sit and you like just sit in the fear, sit in discomfort of not doing anything, sit in that place, you start to like see that like most of our actions were predicated by fear. Most of what we were doing. That's why when we get to our 40s, it's funny. Robert Bly in Iron John talks about three stages of warriorhood, basically 3 stages of being a man. There's the white knight, there's the red warrior, and there's the black warrior. The white knight is the one that like when you're a kid, you're kind of you're young, you're ignorant. The red knight is like when you become a teenager and then you start going into your 20s and 30s and you got all this fire, all this piss and vinegar, and you're gonna go out there and you're gonna get it. And most of the time, going from white to red is going from innocence to ego-filled activity. You gotta get that degree, you gotta get that job, you gotta get that girl, you gotta get that house, you gotta get that car, you gotta go get that thing, you gotta go do those things. And a lot of that is fueled by, that ambition is fueled by fear, it's fueled by angst, it's fueled by this necessity to fulfill other people's obligations. It's all like, And then what happens is right around 40, is perfect, right? Right around between 36 and 45, right? All of a sudden, like, not only does biology take over and time take over, but like God takes over and says, hey, motherfucker, none of that shit really actually matters. And you don't actually care about that. You're doing work you don't care about. You're doing work that I don't even care for you to be doing, but you've placed yourself on that red horse and you're working your ass off. I need you to sit down. And if you do sit down and you start realizing all that redness was all that fear, it was all that anxiety, it was all that shit that other people told you to do, and you turn black. This is almost like where the term black pill makes a lot of sense. But I'm not talking about black pill in the terms of like negativity. Black pill meaning like you become realistic. You start looking at all the ridiculous ambitions that got you off your ass when you were young and looking at them and saying like, I really don't give a fuck about that. I need to make $1 million a month, right? Going. You see other people doing it. And then you get to a point where you're like, fuck, like it's not here yet. And you get upset, you get frustrated, and you just beat your head against the wall until you sit down and you just have to like be with yourself. And then at that point you realize, I don't actually really fucking want that. That's not really what I'm here for. And then, and I can just tell you this because it's kind of like where I am in my life right now. Your heart opens up. The heart opens up. And when I say the heart opens up, I don't mean that like your heart opens and now you're seeking for the next thing, right? That's what I started doing. Seeking the next thing. Okay, then what is it? Then what is it? Then what is it? Then what is it? The heart opens up and you start recognizing what you don't want. That really starts to sink in. What do I don't want, man? Like that, making that next thing. And this is where you got to become very sensitive to what's happening in your body. This is where you actually start listening to the root system that I was talking about before. Feelings. The black knight, the black warrior is black because his subconscious is activated. He's down in the dark. It's a good place to be. He's in the subconscious. He's in the soul. He's doing soul work. He's doing shadow work. And shadow work is not, there's a lot of different ways you could fantasize and romanticize that, but it really means looking at the bullshit that's down below that you no longer really resonate with. Maybe you're not ambitious anymore because the thing that you were ambitious about doesn't make any sense. And your imagination and all the shit that the world has been telling you should be doing, you look at it and like you're honest with yourself and you test it in your heart, you test it in your root system, you test it at the soul level. Soul happens more here than here. You realize, fuck, I don't want that. Okay, then do I want this? Nah, I don't want that. Do I want this? Nah, I don't want that, right? Like being honest about what it feels like, not what your brain tells you. Oh yeah, sure, I want that because everybody else has that, or I've been told I want that. No, how does it feel when you present that thing? It should have a calm feeling. It shouldn't feel like, yeah, I gotta go get it. And it damn sure shouldn't be like, oh, really, I gotta go do that. Either of those extremes are gonna screw you up. That blackness is stable, steady, calm. Just right, right? Like Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears, right? Not too big, not too hard, not too soft, right? Just right, just right. And that's when you start stumbling upon the wisdom that's associated with the Black warrior. Black warrior can look at all the great things that other people are doing and say, that's nice, that's wonderful, good for you. Me, I'm just fine. I'm fine with what I have. I'm fine with what feels right. So right now, what feels right is for you to just sit, for you to be still, for you to calm down. And then test things. Test it here first before you go out. Okay, how does it feel to think about doing this next thing? If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And by, you're just going through a Rolodex of different, you actually almost like go back in life and look at all the things that you've done and like what felt right the best. What can I go back to? That's why I'm back here making these YouTube videos. It feels the best to do. This feels natural and calm and cool for me to do. Spend a lot of time doing a whole bunch of other shit. So my man, long story short, slow it down, calm down, take your time, listen, not with here, but listen with here, and allow the path to unfold for you. Allow God to carry you. Allow the river to do its work.